Here are several reasons why I, a leftist Democrat in 2024, is more conservative than anybody in the MAGA party. Not only am I a distant relative to Daniel Boone's brother Squire, but also I'm a fucking Eagle Scout. I'm a criminal justice major. I went to Texas Christian University. I was raised in Colorado Springs at the base of Cheyenne Mountain where NORAD is. Now, I've been surrounded by the right-wing zealots my whole life and almost kind of gave way to their ideology. Fortunately for me, that was not the plan. I do feel sorry for people who have given in to that rhetoric and that hateful propaganda from the right. They are just using Christianity and religion as cover or a vehicle to deliver control and fascism, Christo-fascism to be specific. In my mind, I don't like big government control, and in this situation it seems like you guys are begging for it. To me, y'all are the bootlickers. If you are buddying up with our foreign adversaries and selling out to multinational corporations, that doesn't scream to me patriotic conservatism. In addition to that, I took religion classes, criminal justice courses, and political science courses. I feel like I'm pretty relevant. I've focused on the social sciences aspect of things. I was raised in the shadow of focus on the family, and they're the ones who became Alliance Defending Freedom. They're the ones who took away our bodily autonomy. They're the ones who masquerade as this, right-wing conservative group that wants to save America. Fuck no. They just want to control. They're a small group of people that just want to control us. They hijacked the NRA. They hijacked all the right-wing organizations. So that's why you've seen this huge, massive shift in the past decade or two. The right-wingers that we used to loathe are even scratching their head in disbelief at how far the right has pushed this. Basically acquiescing to perceived political and military power from our foreign adversaries. And Trump has a chip on his shoulder, not only because he's got a small eggplant, but it's because that he never had the experiences. Like, I've been to multiple third world countries on mission trips. Like I said in my last video, I was a poster child for a church, like a large, very conservative church in Colorado Springs growing up. Or I was on their board to pick deacons as the youth leadership representative. I played in the brass quartet in front of thousands of people. Not only did I sing in performances on stage and musicals, but also I played on Sundays and Wednesdays and any other special day in the brass quartet. Like, when people are like, have you served? No, I haven't served in the fucking military. I actually voted for George W. Bush. Unfortunately, I voted for George W. Bush his first term. By his second term, we saw, this is when my deconstructing started, we started to see how terrifying the right-wing rhetoric was by their actions going into Iraq and Afghanistan. As a college student privy to this information, I wasn't backing that. So I haven't been backing this right-wing authoritarianism push. I backed it lightly for a couple years when I was a kid before I could, discern for myself, so I don't beat myself up over that. But by the time I hit, 17, 18, 19, I was bucking this, and I had no recourse. I was still a minor, and we didn't have the transfer of information that we have now electronically. So coming across information, first of all, the information didn't even exist. Second of all, coming across it was, pretty far-fetched. I went to Texas Christian University. I, was very heavily involved with the church back home. I was a camp counselor for years. I gave tons of my time there. Lower income kids, I taught how to read after schools and children's literacy. I was in student government in high school and college. I'm a decent, scholar. I've done well when I've applied myself. I was always a Civil War buff, strangely enough, history buff growing up. When, a lot of kids were playing video games, I was coloring historical books about, generals of the Civil War. I know that doesn't seem like much, but that's what I was immersing myself in. If I wasn't doing something with the Air Force cadets, with the Boy Scouts on my trail to Eagle, I was basically studying the Civil War by myself at home in like a very structured, conservative, religious household. All the people from my high school made fun of me because of the family that I was from, because they were so religious. Now it's like those same people who made fun of me for actually being religious back then, they've bought hook, line, and sinker into this MAGA faux Christianity. My non-religious friends bought into the religious rhetoric of the Christo-fascists that is MAGA today. That's wild to me. And honestly, some of my college friends kind of bought into it too. You know, they kind of tasted the fear-mongering. You know, as a criminal justice major, we actually know like how these laws came about, because in intro and like the second year and third year courses, they cover all this stuff in a timeline. They cover reefer madness. They cover, you know, the 2 different time periods where they used marijuana laws to keep specifically people of color under their thumb. And that's not the only laws that were written that were racially discriminative. I learned about all this stuff, paid a lot of money to learn about this stuff at TCU. And it's a slap in our face for you guys to claim that you're Christians when I know from your micro expressions, by your actions, by the countenance, by your countenance, by your words, by your body language, by your general aura, by the relationships that you have, the people you surround yourself with, I know you're not a fucking Christian. Like, we read about them in the Bible. Like, you guys are Pharisees, you know? You're charlatans and you're Pharisees and you're heretics and all those words. That's what y'all are. Alliance Defending Freedom, Heritage Foundation, Federalist Society, they're just using Christianity as a vehicle because they've seen historically that that's what people in power have used to control the masses. I know you guys have all heard this before. It's just, I can't sit here idly by and watching these folks convince all these low information voters they have the moral high ground and that they are on God's side. I just don't believe any of it. I mean, you can debunk this shit so quickly and easily if you have access to the right information. But unfortunately, they've flooded the zone with so much information, so much disinformation, so much misinformation that a lot of y'all are scratching your heads. To me, it's crystal fucking clear, like crystal clear who the aggressors, who the adversaries are. So it's pretty chaotic to me every night to kind of break down the happenings of today and then to see you guys still kind of biting for it. My fear is to go so far left that I go far right. So I don't want to go that far left. Like, I'm going to keep my guns on the left, but I'm not going to go so far left that I flip on the other side of the spectrum to the far right wingers, and then you are the very thing that you hate. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm not going to worry about what everybody else is doing as much. It's taken a toll on me, but I'm more conservative than MAGA Republicans. I'm sure of it. You know, I don't cheat on girlfriends. I've walked that walk my whole life, and it's offensive as fuck to see people who obviously don't using that image and that perception to wield destructive power against us, especially after being raised to admire the military and to look up to the military. I respect everybody who's come before me, who's fought and died or lost friends, you know, to conflict. Like, I respect the hell out of those folks. And the fact that, you know, Trump calls them, you know, losers, you know, that's very offensive to me. He backs the military industrial complex, and he backs some corporatists, but he doesn't back like the troops. Yeah, I haven't served. Well, I'm trying to get in the Army Reserve right now. I feel like I've served in plenty other ways. One, by supporting any service person that has been in my circles. You know, I've always taken special notice to like care about their mental health. This is so egregious, the level of corruption and disingenuous provocation. Like, they're provocateurs and they're triangulators, they're manipulators, and they got their playbook from Putin, who's a master at this. So, and not only is he a master of this, but it's like a woven propaganda from the Daughters of the Confederacy, and they were really good at it too. So much that the German Yazidis came over here and studied the Confederacy in the South to see what they did right to be able to control and enslave a population of a specific race. They were impressed by that. They sent people over to study it. In Germany, they can't even fly that Yahtzee flag anymore. So they fly the Confederate battle flag. These are all tied together. Putin knows all of this better than I do. Putin knows this better than a lot of people do. Putin knows how our government works better than some people in our government. That's why you're seeing that MAGA people just getting bamboozled. I think that they're like standing up for this moral high ground. I appreciate God and guns more than those motherfuckers. I could operate a firearm better than any one of those MAGA people. Like, just by looking in their eye, I can just tell by how they hold themselves. They would fumble a firearm, and they would probably fumble a football. They act like they're like God's gift to masculinity and the patriarchy, and all I see is a bunch of fucking pathetic, average-ass people who have never been there before. It's disheartening to me. I would say I pray about it, but I'm kind of past that. Like I talk to the spirit, and I talk to God, and I talk to nature, whatever you want to call it, and there might be some sort of feeling that I'm being heard, but we can't rely on that. Like, we have to put in the footwork to make this stuff happen. Whether God is real or not, he calls us to do the footwork. So if you just be like, well, you know, it's in God's hands. No, it's in our hands. This is all in our hands. The genocide in Gaza and the genocide in Ukraine can be stopped. But there are so many powers and influences tied to a lot of money, and a lot of multinational corporations have interests in our country now. Like I said, like BlackRock, they fucking bought like a lot of residential land in Texas. Like, what do you think they're doing that for? They don't want y'all to have houses. They don't want us to have houses. They want us to pay a fuck ton monthly in rent. So we got like $60 left over so we can pay our interest on whatever, like credit card or something we have, you know? If that. These folks don't care about healthcare. They don't care about freedom of choice. Like, I'm not even for like necessarily abortion. I'm not pro-abortion. I'm pro-choice. I don't think the government should be mandating, you know, anything. Like, it should be between you and your doctor. The IVF thing, some of these Republican people don't even understand what the fuck those letters mean. And I can empathize, like I said before. When I first was confronted with it, I didn't know about it either. I had similar reactions. These people just show in 4K how little experience they have. They haven't been around the country. They haven't been out of their county. They haven't been anywhere else in the world. They don't understand people from other perspectives or other nationalities. I'm just over it. I'm over the white Christian nationalism, and I'm over the lying, and I'm over the confusion over all this. Like, you shouldn't be confused at this stage in your life. I mean, I have this set for not for children. This is for adults here. Like, if you're an adult and this is lost on you, you need to find a way to better clue in. Go to my dude's channel on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch. Find him under my dude or news dude, DOODE. Go ahead and follow him. Like, I'm not gonna do lives every day, but you can clue in on his. Go follow Midas Touch, for fuck's sakes. Go listen to what they have to say. Y'all bitching about legacy media fucking feeding you lies all the time, and you have this whole ass network that's organic. It's grown from the grassroots up. They almost got 3 million subscribers on YouTube. A handful of really, 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 really successful, intuitive, intelligent, empathetic attorneys who have tons of experience sit there and just give it to you So you don't have to worry about the big channels anymore, recycling or laundering information to you, which they've been doing. And you're upset about the very thing that you clutch onto. So give me a fucking break with all this conservative bullshit. MTG, Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump, Ted Cruz. I am more conservative than those motherfuckers. I am more conservative than every single one of those people. We were founded with a constitution and a game plan to have a separation of church and state. These fuckers, they are trying to push a commingling or merging of church and state. Our forefathers were fighting against religious persecution. They were fighting against basically being told, hey, you have to, adhere to these taxes and honor, our religion, and like, you just live under us. And like, no, we don't want that. We didn't want that back then. So why are you guys acquiescing to it now? Or why are you threatening to acquiesce to it now? Why doesn't that make sense to y'all? Is it just because you want to protect an ideology that keeps, people of color in a lower socioeconomic class in general? Is that literally like when it boils down to it? And then I call you guys racist. And you're like, I want to fight you over it. You're not, you have no idea. I have a black friend. You don't have a fucking black friend. You don't know shit. You've never talked to your fucking black friend about this. You make your black friend listen to all your fucking white bread bullshit all the fucking time. And they're so fucking used to it, they know out of survival that they gotta just fucking kind of be a part of it. You're fucking muting culture, you're fucking watering down culture, you're fucking not creating a comforting space, you're not being a good friend, you're not a fucking good Christian, you're not conservative. You're the opposite of all those fucking things. And if I have to destroy everything in my worldview, then so be it. It's called change, it's called evolution. I realized I was wrong. I realized I was wrong in a lot of cases. IVF, trans people, I was not educated on. And I see these dipshit Congress people, they have the same dipshit reaction that I did 20 years ago when I was first hearing about this stuff. And they're leaders of our country? You guys elected these people? You're gonna re-elect them? Fuck no. Hell no.